Hello, everyone. Welcome to part two of our Prog picks. Did some pretty interesting and I think some slightly unusual picks last time, and got some cool stuff in store for you today.
hmm
So,
And we have a special guest.
yeah, you've been waiting for a
The whole week.
opportunity to wear that shirt, haven't
It,
you?
wa- it was in the wash last week, so I couldn't
Yeah.
wear it, but now I got it.
All right. So I'm going to start out with a fairly unusual pick. This is Fire Ballet, Night on Bald Mountain. And these guys are actually, this is a mid 70s. This came out in 1975. It's fairly heavy, and it's actually an adaptation of a Mussorgsky suite. So the side two is actually a 5-part suite. And these guys, for an American prog band at that time, they were pretty heavy. There's little bits of Rush kind of mixed in there with little bits of King Crimson and some of the other sort of obvious influences. But this is something you can find fairly easily. I've seen it around, and there are some really good reissues of this as well. So Fire Ballet, Night on Bald Mountain.
I haven't heard that one. I mean, yeah, I do
Killer
know.
artwork.
Yeah, that's amazing artwork.
Yeah, look at this.
That's awesome.
Yeah,
Yeah,
these guys came up in the Prague tradition, and
yeah.
this actually was on Passport Records, so it's kind of an import of a non-import. I think that the record originally came out on a U.S. label, and then it was reissued as an import, and now there's a bunch of versions. There's like a CD version with some bonus tracks and stuff. So check it
Cool.
out. It's a good one.
Yeah, I know the original from Fantasia, but I haven't heard that one. Okay, so for my first pick, this is "Salty Dog" by Procol Harum. And I thought it'd be kind of cool to include them because like their song "Whiter Shade of Pale" is kind of considered one of the kind of prototype prog songs, along with like "A Day in the Life" by the Beatles. But it doesn't really compare to any of the stuff that's on here. Like this record is like um, really just gorgeous. It's really gorgeous, but there's also like a lot more blues overtones than you might find on a lot of other prog records, and some really great lyrics, and it's kind of refreshing for a prog record because there's no synthesizer on it. It's all piano, organ, and then the keyboardist Matthew Fisher made these really fantastic orchestral arrangements. I think that he did them.
Yeah, they were kind of known for doing a lot of stuff with orchestras.
Yeah. So this is it's a really good, really great record. Um, it it doesn't give off a pretentious vibe, even though it's got like all these like really like epic lyrics and stuff like that. But it's just like a very kind of down to earth record, and it's really beautiful, and it's got some really simple stuff and some more grand stuff with the orchestra. So Salty Dog, a Salty Dog.
Cool. I'm gonna hit you with another more obscure pick. And these guys actually are another American band, but I love this record. Um, I saw these guys opened for Boston once, and they actually blew Boston off the stage. They were so good. They incredible harmonies. I believe these guys were from Illinois, like a sort of Chicago band, you know?
That's hilarious.
Yeah, but the first song on side one, Lady of the Lake, is an amazing song. Some of the best harmonies I've ever heard in a prog record. So also really cool artwork.
Yeah.
And again, this is something that's really easy to find. You can pick this up for probably $8-10 at the most anywhere. But
Is that
great band.
is that Roger Dean, or is it just supposed to look like Roger Dean?
I don't think it's officially Roger Dean.
Okay.
Let's take a look here. But they're trying real hard to make it look like Roger
Yeah.
Dean. I don't see his name back here.
Okay.
So it was definitely somebody that was trying to do the Roger Dean vibe.
Yeah.
But check out Lady of the Lake. Great song.
Yeah. Let's see. I'm gonna pull out something. This is probably not. I don't know. If we had large viewership, I'd probably get a lot of shit for putting this on the Prog list. But I don't really know where else to put it. It's kind of a predictable move. But actually, this is Roxy and Elsewhere by Frank Zappa, and he even in an interview said he doesn't consider himself prog, but like I don't know, he's
Well, it depends on which record. I
yeah,
mean,
it depends
Hot
on
Rats,
yeah,
Hot Rats could be considered a prog record, or it
yeah,
could be considered a fusion record.
right. And I think this one, man, some of these songs like Kindness Art, Don't You Ever Watch That Thing, Cheapness, they're all, like really intricate, and they have long, like, instrumental sections, and kind of intense lyrics, very satirical lyrics. So I don't know. I think people should be listening to this record, so I threw it in.
Yeah, I don't think I've ever heard anybody put that on a prog list, but
No.
Frank Zappa is one of those artists that you could put almost anywhere and it
Yeah.
would fit.
Yeah, he's got the R&B thing, he's got the
And he's got so
jazz
much
thing,
stuff.
yeah,
So,
classical.
so I'm gonna throw a Genesis title in here.
Oh yeah.
And it's not a Genesis title you would think I would put in here.
Right.
But I love this one. It's post Gabriel, and I just think that the writing is really. They were obviously trying to prove themselves after Gabriel left, and I think this is some of Phil Collins' best vocals, best writing, and probably best arrangements, and the production is incredible. So I really like Dance on a Volcano and Squonk. Those are two of my favorite Genesis records. This is first pressing with the gatefold.
See, you're frozen on me, but I don't know if that you're gonna be frozen for them.
I don't think so.
Okay.
So yeah, I mean I love all the Genesis records, but this one has always just totally done it for me. I mean I just love everything about it. So don't judge me on the post Gabriel thing because I got something else coming up that'll
Okay.
make up for it.
Yeah, I know what you got. I'll throw in another Genesis record, and I have yet to get this one on vinyl. I have it from the CD copy that you made
Oh
me when I was
no!
studying with you.
You're showing a CD?
No, here's what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna hold my hands like this. Wait. So they can see the record. You can't see the record, but they can see that. I gotta throw it on the list.
Yeah.
It's so good. This is what is even the name of this record? It's what is the name of this record?
Trespass?
No, not
I
Trespass.
can't see the cover.
It doesn't have the name on it. Well, you guys can see what it is. You see what it says down there. It doesn't matter. It's a great record. It's a great record. Every song on it's great.
What are the songs?
It's got, so the opening track is Dancing with, Selling England by the Pound. I'm sure I wrote some sarcastic
You never showed us
comments
the
down.
cover yet, so I haven't.
I did. I'm showing you the cover right now.
Yeah,
Look.
show us the cover on the CD. You'll be shamed later for that.
I'll accept it. But this is a great record. It's got Dance with the Moonlit Night, which is kind of a suite that it opens with, and then it's got I Know What I Like, which is kind of their first like really commercial song. I think it was a hit on the radio, but it's really great. And like you gotta crank it loud in the car and like jam out. And More Fool Me is like a really pretty ballad. And The Cinema Show, which is the last track for me, is my favorite, and it's got my favorite like keyboard solo on it, where he's like soloing in one time signature while the band is soloing in another time signature.
The good one.
Did a lot. Yeah. Yeah.
You must get that on vinyl, though.
I will, and
I know where you can get it.
You have it in the shop?
Probably. Usually do. It's a fairly common record.
Yeah.
Okay, so I'm gonna make up for my post Gabriel Genesis pick and show Peter Gabriel's Soul.
See, I'm even almost surprised that that's on a prog list too.
Oh, but it's a great prog record.
I mean, yeah, okay.
Everything about it. I mean, it's superb writing. He's got Kate Bush on here doing "Don't Give Up," which is probably the most commercial part about the record. But even that is a unbelievable song. The production's top notch. I believe Gabriel did everything he usually does.
Wait, like all the instruments?
No, it actually Daniel Lanois produced it with Peter Gabriel. So I guess that explains why I like the production so much, because I generally like anything Daniel Lanois produces, even U2. But yeah, I mean the songwriting on here is unbelievable. Sledgehammer's kind of the top 10 selection. Don't Give Up with Kate Bush. That Voice Again, In Your Face. Mercy Street, Big Time, which is another sort of attempt at commercialism. And We Do What We're Told. Great song. So seriously, again, this is a really easy album to find, or at least it used to be. I think people are starting to catch on to how good the vinyl sounds.
Yeah.
But absolutely outstanding record.
Yeah, he's amazing. Let's see. I'll go back. Let's see. What am I going to pull out next? This is got to throw some Yes in, and this is kind of if you can find one of these, like this is super cool. Just if you want to figure out what they're, it's got all the really like essential tunes on it. Siberian Khatru, Heart of the Sunrise. I mean, I could just list off all the tracks on this. It's a live record.
Some of the best Roger Dean artwork too.
Woo!
Yeah.
Check that out. This is kind of, oh my gosh, this is kind of like the stereotype of like when people started kind of making fun of prog, because it's a triple LP. Look at this. It's a triple LP of a live maybe like I think they took it out of maybe 4 or 5. Oh no, it must have been over a couple tours, because some of the tracks Bill Bruford plays on, and then I think some of them are after they had switched over to having Alan White play. And I think the sound quality is not as good as their studio records, but their playing is just as great. And yeah, it's like a kind of almost an essentials list of all the really great Yes songs. So yeah, this is called Yes Songs. So check it out.
So I got to show an ELP record, and I actually had like 4 of them out, and I changed it over the course of the last couple weeks thinking about this. I was going to show Trilogy, then I was going to show Tarkus, then I was going to show Brain Salad Surgery, and I ended up with this one because, is that glary?
A little bit.
Yeah, it's got one of these cool like European like library covers on it, which I didn't want to take off, but
this is dead air while you're taking that off.
So this one I just remember from when I was a kid. and Lucky Man, of course. Everybody knows that. And I recently read an article about that, the recording of that. I was surprised.
It was like a filler track.
It was
Or
well,
meant
it
to
was
be.
actually a track that Greg Lake wrote when he was a kid,
Yeah.
and it originally was like a folk song, and they needed an extra track. So Keith Emerson went out to lunch, and Greg Lake and Carl Palmer recorded the track, and it was kind of a really folky track. And then Keith Emerson came back and put the Moog solo on after the fact.
But he had just opened it up, I think. The Moog. He had they'd just taken it out of the box.
Oh, really? That I
And he was like, they were playing him the song, and he was messing around with it, and they had the tape going.
Yeah, and he just
That's what ended
literally
up being on the record.
just did that all in one swoop. And I mean, it ended up being one of the most monumental prog tracks of all time, I think. But I like the rest of the record too. Take a Pebble is great. Knife Edge. I mean, it's just one of those records everybody needs to check out if they're even vaguely interested in prog.
Yeah.
So ELP first record. This is a first pressing on Cotillion.
Cool. Let's see. Yeah. So next, this is a band. They're more on the hard rock side, but they're still very proggy. Wishbone Ash, which is a band that one of my English teachers told me to check out.
Great
my
record.
English teachers from high school. Yeah, this is a really cool record. It's got no keyboard on it at all, which is kind of rare for a prog record. Maybe.
Yep.
Yeah, like I can't really think of any. Well, I guess King Crimson doesn't always have keyboard, but this is it's just they got two lead guitar players. They're both really good. They write really good parts, and it's very very hard rock oriented, but very long kind of sweeping songs and intense lyrics. So this is Argus by Wishbone Ash.
Yeah, and Wishbone Ash had a couple of other really good records too, Pilgrimage, and then they did a live thing called Live Dates. Absolutely amazing. They're still around. They're still touring. There's actually a book out about them.
Wow.
So they've been around for longer than almost any of the prog bands. Mm-hmm. So I had to throw in a Moody Blues title, On the Threshold of a Dream, of course. I love In the Beginning, the way this starts, and then Lovely to See You and Dear Diary, like that first side, just amazing stuff. So this is the MoFi version, which is probably the best version I've heard. And then this is actually a Dutch version. You can see the colors are a little bit different. Looks like it's kind of glary today. Nice shiny Euro cover. But out of all the Moody Blues stuff, I think I like this one the best.
Yeah.
What can you say about the Moody Blues?
I haven't listened to them, I think, since I was in high school.
Really?
To be honest, but they were one of the first bands. Probably one of the first bands that I went with my parents to see. But the sound quality was really bad.
Yeah.
I need to reinvestigate them. I haven't spent that much time with them.
They can be a little.
You did have me listen to that.
They can be a little sleepy live,
Yeah.
But I mean, in these days, they were kind of psychedelic and kind of prog and just lots of interesting sort of literature, oriented lyrics and stuff. Mm-hmm. So
yeah, and just a really beautiful sound overall.
Yeah, I think they were really pretty pivotal in sort of moving production into the next phase.
Yeah. Definitely.
one of the really revolutionary bands for production of that time. Anyway,
Yeah. Yeah. Let's see. So let's see. Next, I'm gonna talk about this is kind of a band I feel like I should just throw in for someone who's just trying to get a good like broad strokes overview of prog bands. This is Camel. They're kind of, I don't want to say more on the silly side, but they're a very like prog sounding prog band. Like
yeah,
you
they
could
could
tell
be
that they were,
kind of animated sounding.
yeah. So there's like they have a song on here that's about Gandalf, and it's like it's a little corny, but some of the instrumentals especially I think are really cool on this record. Lyrics are kind of okay, but mostly just they play together as a group really well. So this is Mirage by Camel.
And I mean, prog's got to be a little bit corny. That's
Yeah,
kind of the
it's
point.
not really prog if it's
Yeah,
right.
corny in kind of the way of a good sci-fi film.
Right.
So I wanted to show my last pick for today. I wanted to show something more modern. This is Steven Wilson, The Raven That Refused to Sing. Yeah, and he's got a lot of good albums, but I think this is probably the best of his solo records. Of course, he came from Porcupine Tree, and they have a lot of great stuff too. But I think this one probably is my favorite out of everything he's done. It's very well written, masterfully produced, like all of his stuff. I mean, Steven Wilson's basically, he's a writer and he's a great guitarist and a great vocalist, but I think all in all, he's basically a producer in kind of the Alan Parsons vein, you know.
Yeah.
So
And and that record is kind of a departure from a lot of other prog records because it's the songs are very like deeply in the prog tradition, but the musicians are all like jazz musicians. So rather than have like a lot of really structured instrumental sections, there's just like a lot of solos, and it's got Guthrie Govan on there, who's just
yeah, I
like
was
I think
just
that's the
checking to
first time
see
I
if
heard
he
him.
played. Yeah, Guthrie Govan is amazing.
Man, yeah, his solo on Drive Home is just like heartbreaking, but just on a technical level, unbelievable.
Mind-boggling stuff.
Yeah, yeah,
So yeah, check out if you're into the sort of modern prog stuff, check out some of his other stuff too.
hmm
He's got just tons of material, and he does some straight sort of electronica stuff as well. But as far as the straight prog stuff, I really like this one.
yeah. I like it because he doesn't overproduce it. Like a lot of the modern prog stuff I hear is just like
Well, he doesn't need to.
so compressed and
He's got the best players on the planet.
yeah. So he really keeps the old aesthetic. Not that it needs to be old, but like you really still sound like you're listening to like real people. All right, for my last pick, this is one of the later, or I guess I should say mid career King Crimson records. This is called Beat from, I don't know if you can divide up their career into phases, but
Well,
they took a
the
hiatus
Adrian
after
Blue period.
the Adrian Blue period. There's actually two Adrian Blue periods. There's another one after this one, but this is they took a maybe like a 5 or 10 year hiatus after they released Red with their kind of final 70s group, and then he kind of sent out. Robert Fripp started hanging out with these musicians, and they had like research teams. Like they would, maybe that was after this, but they had a project, and eventually they're like, okay, we could probably call this King Crimson. And the record that came out before this, which is called Discipline, I think is usually the one people talk about. But for me, this one is man, I just love this record. The one song on here that's kind of, I think, universally kind of not enjoyed that much is Heartbeat. But Neil and Jack and Me is a banger. Sartori and Tangier, banger. Waiting Man, it's a banger. They're all great. and they have a really unique playing style. It's totally unlike the stuff we talked about last week, which is very 80s, but it like holds up unbelievably well. And they had this kind of dual guitar thing that Adrian was a genius. He wrote these like parts where they're like kind of like gamelan music, or almost like you ever listen to like Awe, like vocal pieces where they're kind of making a line together, but they overlap. And this record is full of that. And just Adrian's guitar playing, his solos are just ridiculous.
His solo
so
work
good.
was really good too, and
Yeah.
it didn't really change much. He didn't really change what he did from his
Yeah.
solo work to the Crimson stuff.
Mhm.
And of course, he played with Zappa
And Bowie.
Yeah, David Bowie.
Yeah, everybody.
So there's another thing I thought of that I think is kind of important. Going back to my first pick today, the Fire Ballet, I forgot to mention that that was actually produced by Ian McDonald
Oh,
from
okay,
the
cool.
original King Crimson band.
Yeah.
So their influence really like has gone into the prog world, and it sort of touches everything.
Yeah. Yeah, John Wetton was in Wishbone Ash at some point, I think.
Was he?
Yeah, that's what I read today as I was like doing my research.
Really? Wow.
Yeah.
That I didn't know.
Along with a bunch of other bands. He was also in UK, all that stuff.
Yeah, I mean the original version of King Crimson spawned a lot of other bands.
Yeah.
So I would have to say that they probably are the one band that you could almost compare to like Miles Davis. Like anybody and everybody kind of either was influenced by or played with that band.
Yeah.
So I wanted to show one other thing. Last week I said I would show this. This is the Roger Dean book, Dragon's Dream. And it's a great book. It's got all of Roger Dean's works.
Wow.
A lot of the Yes posters, a lot of the Yes album work that never actually made it to the records. And just crazy, crazy stuff.
I think I've seen some of those on like their later like live compilations and stuff.
Yeah. Well, Roger Dean did a lot of stuff outside of Yes as well, like Asia.
Oh yeah, look at that.
But I mean, he did a lot of great stuff that really was completely outside the whole rock and roll thing. It was quite a find when Yes teamed up with him.
Yeah. That's amazing.
Pink Floyd thing. So yeah, you can find this used. It was put out by Collins and called Dragon's Dream. Basically about the work of Roger Dean.
Cool. I also have a bonus thing. It's a record, but I didn't think I would put it on the list because it's a little pricier, and I don't see it all that often. But I thought it'd be a cool thing to include. Actually, especially for the artwork. This is it's called A Young Person's Guide to King Crimson, and I think it came out during their hiatus in between their 70s and their 80s period. And it's kind of just it's a compilation, but there's also some unreleased stuff on here. I'm trying to see what it is. I Talk to the Wind. I think that one is a different version. Groon, I think, was released as a single but never on a record. So there's some cool stuff on here. There's a little booklet with information on the band and a thing of all their album covers. So if you can find one of these and you're willing to spend the money on it, it's a cool find. Mostly just for the album artwork.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure that it has been reissued as well.
I would imagine so. Yeah.
Recently, they're coming out with all the Steven Wilson remixes, and I don't think that's part of that series, but I think they released it maybe in conjunction with the Steven Wilson mixes. So it's out there.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
All right.
All
So
right.
that's our Prog show.
Mm-hmm.
Our Prog picks. We have no idea what we're doing next week, which
Maybe
is
we should
often
do a
the
Zappa
case.
week. Yeah. Maybe do a Zappa week. Actually, next week, we may have to film it on Tuesday or something, or a different day, because I'm going to be.
Okay.
We're going to be. They don't need to know. They don't need to hear
Yeah.
about this. But we'll be getting my stuff from Boston. So.
Okay.
But maybe a Zappa week.
Yeah, maybe.
We'll
Yeah,
talk
we could
about
do a
it.
Zappa week. I just happen to have a couple of Zappa records here. All right.
All right.
See you next time.
Thanks for tuning in. Yeah. Thanks everybody.